Monday, June 12th, 2023, 5 p.m. Town Council meeting. We do have a quorum. Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance, led by Vice Mayor Kathy Patterson.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First thing on our agenda this evening is actually approval of the agenda. So I'll need a motion, and this will be a roll call vote. I have a motion to accept the agenda as is. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none, be a roll call vote. Mr. Beelman?
Aye.
Patterson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Johnson, aye.
And that is passed. We will, just a little housekeeping. If anybody needs a recess, council, please let Sherry or myself know. Next is the consent agenda, which consists of minutes of the regular meeting of May 22nd, 2023. I need a motion to accept as presented or somehow amended.
Move that we approve the minutes of the regular meeting of May 22nd.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any discussion? I hear none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? I think that motion passes. Next on the agenda is consideration of the issuance and sale of general obligation bond for improvements to water and sewer facilities. We have Town Manager Brian Freeman, who will give us a report.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. As you all will recall, as part of the development of the town's 5-year capital improvements plan and throughout the development of our fiscal year 2023-24 budget, several capital-intense water and sewer projects were identified. Those include the Lots Gap water storage tank, which the town is a project the town really has been working on for several years. Also, the wastewater treatment plan identified the need to replace the drive units for secondary clarifiers. At the wastewater plant, we also have a need to borrow the 25% match for the sewer I&I rehabilitation project, and also to do some Lithia Road pump station repairs. The total anticipated cost of these projects is $2,256,000. We have received approval for the financing of up to $2,470,000. This process, as you may recall, entailed the town engaging with VML Vaco Finance, who put out an RFP to commercial lending institutions, and they did recommend that we go with Webster National Bank, who has made an offer of a 4.5% term for 20 years. This will create an anticipated debt service payment on the water fund of $134,000 a year, and an anticipated payment to the wastewater fund of $57,000 a year. So what is on your agenda tonight is a public hearing for that, and then the consideration of a resolution authorizing staff to complete the necessary documents for it. So any questions you have, I'll be happy to answer.
And before we open up the public hearing, Council, do you have any questions for Mr. Freeman? All right, I will now open up the public hearing to receive comments regarding the issuance and sale of the general obligation bond in an amount not to exceed $2,470 for improvements to water and sewer facilities. Have anybody that would like to speak, Council, regarding this issue? Hearing none, we'll go ahead and close this open hearing. And we'll move, the point, council needs to have some consideration to adopt the resolution authorizing the insurance and sale of the general obligation bond and the execution and delivery of certain related documents. I need a motion.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? I hear none. This is also a roll call vote, so we're going to start with Councilwoman Johnson.
Aye.
Atkins, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Patterson, aye.
Gilman, aye.
The ayes have it. That passes. Next on the agenda is to consider the request of Downtown Wytheville Incorporated to close Main Street between 4th Street and 7th Street from 6 a.m. to 12 p.m. for the Downtown Wytheville July 4th celebration and street festival. I think Assistant Town Manager Ms. Holton will present that to council.
Good evening. So in your packets, you would have received a street closure request from Downtown Wytheville for the 4th of July event. This application did go in front of the Safety and Events Committee last week, and the committee has made the recommendation to Town Council to approve this request. The street closure is on July the 4th, and it's from 6 a.m. to 11 p.m. You should have received a map in your packets that shows the extent of the street closure, and I'm proud to report that we had wide representation at the Safety and Events Committee with all of the respective departments affiliated with this event agreeable to what was shown in the map. So we certainly hope that you will consider approving this request tonight. If you have any questions for me, I'm here to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Council, do you have any questions for Assistant Town Manager Holton?
I sort of do. Sorry, I just want to ask the question. I noticed, and I know we've talked about this from the day when we put the 60 days prior to the event. I just was wanting to ask, have we looked at maybe adjusting that at all by chance? I would hate to approve those that aren't at the deadline, and then someone comes in later, and then we, don't approve it. So I just was. I know we had talked about maybe adjusting the 60 days. Has anybody looked into that by chance?
Yes. So essentially later in your packet, we do have a new policy that we will be reviewing as it relates to street closures. And so if it's okay with you, maybe we can talk about it during that.
Well, I thought maybe, but okay. So
If that's
fine.
okay.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
Any other questions or concerns?
I do have a question. I noticed in the packet that we'll be discussing later on. So would Downtown Wytheville be reviewing and pre-screening their own permits, or would that come through the town?
Right. So again, I think we should probably have that conversation later in the meeting when we're talking about that specific agenda item. What is currently on the floor for consideration is just this event on July 4th. But we have all the time in the world at the end of the meeting during that agenda item to talk about the new policy, if that's okay with you all.
That'll be fine.
Okay.
Anything else? Before we move forward. All right, so do we have a motion?
So moved.
Motion to adopt as presented. A motion, do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? All right, ayes have it. That motion passes. Thank you very much. Next is to consider the request of Wytheville Treasurer's Office for the Wytheville Police Department to provide traffic control on Tazewell Street at the Willowbrook Jackson Umberger Homestead Museum property on Sunday, June 18th, 2023, from 5 p.m. to 6 p.m. and from 9 p.m. to 10 p.m. for State Treasurer's Meeting social event. Now, I believe Assistant Town Manager, Ms. Holton, would answer any questions or, oh, she's on here.
I told you we were going to get through this quickly tonight.
Thank you.
Okay. Yes, ma'am. You summarized that very well. This is another event application. This application is essentially just going to be a very quick traffic control for loading and unloading of the buses. As you all know, there is an event at the Homestead on that date, June the 18th, for the Treasurers Association. And Mr. Stevens is also here tonight if we have any questions for him. From what I understand, the participants in this event will be arriving by bus, and they have requested that our police department work to control traffic as the buses are unloading for those participants to get off the buses and onto the property of the homestead. Later in the evening from 9 to 10, that will happen one more time where our PD will just be there to make sure that people can safely load on and off the buses right there in front of the homestead. We did work with Ryan Bard on coordination of this and discussed it at the Safety and Events Committee meeting, and he felt like this request could safely be accommodated. So the Safety and Events Committee did recommend this for approval tonight.
Any questions? Ms. Holton?
Well, they also put out signs like electronic signs. Sometimes they put out, do you know, like to slow traffic.
I don't believe that was discussed, but we can request that if you would like to attach that as a condition.
I think that would maybe be a good idea. I don't know what everybody else thinks, but
I agree with that. And usually it's coming like from Sheets area and then up the hill.
Yes, ma'am.
And because it's such a curvy road there.
Okay.
So they've done that quite often. I think that's a great idea.
Just maybe heavy traffic or something area.
Okay. I'd be happy to pass along that request.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other concerns, questions? All right, do we have a motion to approve with the addition of looking into the,
Message boards?
yes.
I move that we approve their request.
I have a motion, do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, all in favor signify by saying aye. Aye as well, any opposed? All right, that motion passes. Thank you, Ms. Holton. I just said your name wrong. Next is to consider subdivision variance request for the Ashbury Lane subdivision. I'm not sure why you even sat down.
If it's okay, I'm going to ask Billy Anderson to present this one.
Very good, thank you.
Good afternoon. We have a proposed subdivision here on the north side of town, just off Holston Road, behind Carrington Center. Currently, the subdivision is in a state of review, and they've requested a variance to 3 articles of the subdivision ordinance. First one is the variance for the paved surface width. Currently, our ordinance requires for new subdivisions to have a paved surface width of 30 feet. Currently, right now, the paved surface width is 18 feet wide. We've consulted with VDOT, as far as the local VDOT resident engineer, to see if that would meet their criteria to allow us to petition to have that accepted into the urban maintenance system so we can get maintenance funding on it. They met us on site, reviewed it, looked at it, and basically gave the blessing that given the speed and the length of the road, that 18 feet was adequate to them. So that's the first variance that they're requesting. Second one is, of course, is for curb and gutter. They're requesting that there's no curb and gutter be installed within the subdivision because currently there's no curb and gutter on Holston Road or sidewalks anywhere in the vicinity. So they're requesting a variance for that waiver as well. And the last one, as far as variance is a street right-of-way width. Currently, our subdivision ordinance requires a 50-foot minimum right-of-way width. But again, in consultation with VDOT, VDOT will allow 40 foot in this area. That's adequate to them in order for us to have this accepted in the urban maintenance system and receive maintenance funding on this road when and if it's brought up to standard.
Well, I'll start off with a question. This did go to the planning commission prior to being here, correct?
Correct, it did, yes.
And they voted?
This vote was approved, I think unanimously, as far as approving these variances.
Anybody have any questions for, really, for? No? This is going to be, I'll need a motion.
I move that we approve the variance that's been submitted for the subdivision.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion?
Yes. I have a question. I have no problem with the request. However, I would like to know, and you can email me later on, is there curb and gutter at King's Crossing?
King Hills?
At the end of Main Street, the subdivision
King Hills.
that you take out?
No, ma'am. There's
Okay. All right. So in all fairness, would we be able to afford to provide that with them as well? I had a citizen ask me a question about curb and guttering for that subdivision. And do we have the finances to be fair to them as well as
You're referring to,
Well, to be clear, what the folks on Asbury are requesting is that they not be required to install it. And King Hills made the same request.
Yeah.
And
I had a resident ask, that's why I'm asking.
Understood. And we do actually, and I'll be happy to get back to you on that. But so this request is, normally the town code requires that a developer install curb and gutter.
Mm-hmm.
So in the same situation with King Hills, they requested that the town grant a variance, meaning allow them to not have to install curb and gutter. And that's the same request that's on the table here. So.
Any other questions? All right, this will be a roll call vote. Councilman Gilman,
Patterson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Johnson, aye.
All right, unanimously that passes. Thank you for those reports. Next is to consider the request from the Department of Museums for the take a break from the Interstate Road Market scheduled July 28th to 30th, 2023. Mr. Freeman, I believe, is going to give us a short presentation.
No real presentation, Mayor Taylor. You do have in your packet a letter from Grant Gerlich, the Director of Museums, and also, I think, a summary of agenda info that summarizes this quite well. This would be the 10th year of the Take a Break from the Interstate yard sale. And the only, and I believe these have been approved 9 times prior, what this does is allows people to put out their yard sale wares, materials, whatever you want to call them, for three days instead of the normal 2-day max that the town requires. So this allows people along that route to leave these things out for 3 days instead of 2 days, and that's the primary difference and the need for the request.
Any questions for Mr. Freeman?
I do have a question. I'm sorry. Mr. Freeman. Can you explain? I know it's like a 2-day. Can you just explain to me? I think the town don't they have like an ordinance? You can only have like so many yard sales or something like that.
Well, I do know that we allow them to be things to be put out for 2 days, and I think the intent with that is to limit folks who want to put 2 or 3 tables out in the yard and leave them up for 3 months and just continually resupply them with things and essentially create a flea market in their front yard.
Like I like.
Well, I think
to
that's the intent is to have, not wanting people to set up tables for weeks and months on end and just covering them up and basically creating a business environment in their front yard.
Thank you for clarification. Thank you.
Any other questions or concerns? All right, I need a motion, please.
So moved.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion and second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? All right, hearing none, that motion passes unanimously. Thank you very much. Next is consider a request from Hope Incorporated for the Wytheville Police Department to provide traffic control assistance on various streets in town for the Baston Furoni Metric Century Bike Ride event on Saturday, June 17th, 2023, from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And we have somebody from the administration ready to answer questions and give us a presentation.
Great. So in your packet, you will see the application from Hope. Again, the event is on June the 17th from 7 a.m. to 2 p.m. And the request is for what's called a rolling closure, meaning that they're going to need assistance around 7:30 in the morning for when the bikers are leaving town. And the police department has agreed to assist them with that request. And the Safety and Events Committee has enabled the police department to assist that if you approve this request.
Thank you. Is there any questions, Elaine? All right, hearing none, I'll need a motion, please.
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Motion and a second. Is there any further discussion? All right, hearing none. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye as well. Any opposed? That motion carries unanimously. Next on our agenda is citizens period. I do not have anybody that stated that they wanted to come and talk, but I'll open it up again if anybody out there wants to come during citizens period and have, feel free. There you go. If you'll come on up and state your name and your address for the minutes, please, sir.
Okay. Hi. I'm Stephen De Niro. I live at 1473 Slate Spring Branch Road. And I'm new here. And I am the new director of the Edith Bowling Wilson Birthplace Museum. And I just came to say hello. And I want to thank you all for the warmest welcome I can imagine. Everyone has been really wonderful and welcoming. And just wanted to say hey and thank you all. And that's pretty much it. So I'm just here to say hi and just thank you, because so far everything's been really nice. And
If you have any problems, call him.
no,
Well, we really appreciate you
But-
coming up and
but-
introducing yourself.
but it's clear if we ever need a road closure, I now know where I now know where to come. But no, really, thank you all. Everyone's been very welcoming and we really appreciate it. So thank you so much.
Well,
And
okay. Thank you.
I look forward to working with you all in the coming months and years.
Good.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Daly.
Thank you, sir.
All right, new business. Town Manager Freeman, please.
No new business to report.
All right, old business. Town Manager Freeman,
Item
please.
of old business. You all should have in your packet a staff report regarding ordinance 1423, which was under consideration at our last meeting. As you all will recall, ordinance 1423 was an ordinance that would consider the imposition of a 3-cent tax increase. Council voted 3-2 in favor of increasing that real property tax. However, we learned, and following that in Virginia, a town may only impose a tax after a 2/3 vote of the council. In our case, a 2/3 vote would require 4 votes to impose a tax, and the 3-2 vote does not meet that standard. So we consulted with the town of Blacksburg, who had a similar situation last year. We consulted with Larry Spencer, the attorney there, who advised us that we had met the statutory requirements for advertising and conducting the public hearing, and that this matter should come back to the council as old business because it essentially was unfinished. The 3-2 vote was thought to have concluded that discussion, but since the motion did not actually pass, we are bringing it back to you as old business. I do have for your reconsideration the same slides we were able to show at the last meeting that would show the difference in the financial impacts on citizens at varying rates. We have a slide in here for 1 cent, 2 cents, 1.5 cents, and 3 cents. Since all of those have sort of been the points of discussion, but at no point can we go beyond 3 cents because that is what was advertised as the max. So I'm happy to take any questions you may have on this matter.
All right, does anybody have any questions for Mr. Freeman?
If there's one of these in particular you'd like to see, let me know and we'll pull it up.
I'm not hearing any questions for Mr. Freeman.
I don't want to click through them, assuming I know.
No, I
what you'd
don't
like to
either. I'm
see.
just kind of,
I'm just going to hang out right there.
Mr. Freeman, I know when you and I had talked about things, I know I had mentioned 2%, and I know I was sort of leaning on 2%. And I know that there was a gentleman said that, why don't we go for half, since we were sort of on the fence, why don't we look at it halving it? And I'd like to see it maybe amended to go to the 1.5, not 2.
so we really not having to amend it. You would just make a motion, I think. Is that correct?
I think so.
Because the ordinance has 3 cents in it. He has amended the ordinance. Okay, I apologize.
No, it's okay.
Well,
Whatever.
that ordinance didn't pass.
No, but the ordinance before them has 3 cents in it. So they'll need to set the rate, and we can put whatever rate in there right now.
Okay.
So it's 3 cents in the ordinance right now.
How about we do unless anybody else has any ideas, I'd like to suggest that.
That I appreciate that, but you'll have to formulate that motion.
I'd like to make a motion, please, to do 1.5, please, if you don't mind, instead of 3 or 2.
So it's 1.5 cents on a dollar.
Yes, ma'am.
For $100
$100.
valuation.
Excuse me. That's why we're talking out loud. Right? So that's a motion. Amendment motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second. Do we have any dialogue?
Yes. I ask that we increase the lodging tax to offset what from the recent reassessment that took place. So I guess, is that not an option? Is that no longer an option?
If you all want us to prepare that for a subsequent meeting, that's your. If that's what you all want us to do, that's what we'll do.
Because I think we had talked about that maybe last meeting, that we would go ahead and just make it fair across the board for everybody instead of just raising a certain amount of taxes on certain, individuals. And I don't think that's a bad idea.
Just for the sake of our constituents, they went through a reassessment. They've had to pay high taxes, and I'm standing with the people. I would like for the lodging taxes to be increased and give the people a break to get themselves together from the previous reassessment. People are struggling right now.
And y'all correct me if I'm wrong. So what I'm hearing is that we can formulate that. Do we have to advertise it?
Yes.
And bring it back to the next meeting or meeting after that? But that's the way that would have to unfold. I
think
Formulated without property tax. No real property tax increase. Lodging, I want only lodging. And
I don't want to take over your meeting, but right now you have a motion and a second.
We're going to vote on this motion, and then the property taxes will be a different entity. I mean, the house, and the lodging. Yeah.
Mhm.
So we have a motion and a second on any other further discussion. Everybody looks at this in a different view. And nobody's wrong. Now, I will just reiterate what I was, my way of looking at this for our citizens is that we have a hole in our budget and we have been using our reserves. And if we don't start getting in more revenue, we're going to continue to use our reserves. And somewhere around 2025, maybe another year after that, if we continue at this pace, there's going to be no reserves. And then what do we do? And then what do we tell our citizens that we can't provide for them and stuff like that? So that's the way I look at it. That's my passion about it. Nobody's wrong. It's just different ways of looking at it. That's all I'm going to say. Any other discussion?
How long did our town employees have to wait for a raise? How many years?
I've been here 15.
Did that not create a hole in the budget where we had to?
It did. It certainly did. It certainly did.
To do increases, and there, I think, are some other people that need increases as well. I don't think, looking at the Bolton study, we need to take a look at some more things on that also. But had they been, how many years did they go without raises before it created a hole in the budget?
We and just giving you the facts. I've been here 15 years. We've gotten raises 13 of those years. The problem wasn't that we didn't get raises. It's just that it did not keep up with the pace of inflation in the market. So just to be clear, we to my knowledge, only maybe 2 in the last 15. Like, can you recall, or Sherry? I think there were 2 times maybe that we didn't get, but usually it was a 2 and a 1.
They were not within their pay grade, that the allowed amount.
They were just across the board, 2% usually. But there was a couple of here and there. But
that been done over the years, wouldn't be such a big hole in the budget, would it?
I don't think that's just a piece of the puzzle.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we all voted that they would give them a raise, but COVID was a piece of the puzzle.
Did we get funding for COVID?
I'm going to let Mr. Freeman do that. Tell us what
we did get funding for COVID, but it really matters not, because it will run out too. Again, I think you all have operationally, we have a hole. We have an operating hole. We have closed a lot of that. Now, when we look at the budget again in 2 weeks, I mean, the numbers that I looked at this morning, we're probably going to project a use of $1 million in reserves. Again, the budget is a plan. It is not a hard and fast rule. It is not a guarantee that any of it will go as we think. It is a plan. It's a spending plan and appropriation. Basically, you're saying this is the plan. You're authorizing the town staff to go out and make payments and do things that have to be done to operate the town. The comp study absolutely added to the hole. We've begun to fill the hole with the increase in the mills tax. That was nearly $500,000 back toward the hole. This, if you do the 1.5 that's currently under consideration, would put $148,000 back in that hole. And then we can bring back lodging whenever you want us to bring it back. Now, I would suggest that we get through the next budget hearing, not hearing, but the next budget reading before doing that. But it can be done anytime. It's just that when we come back in here on our next meeting, it's going to be very difficult for me to present you budgets that have a lot of the variables have to be removed. I can't give you a budget that says if you go up on 1 cent, this is your budget. If you go up 0.5 cent, this is your budget. I mean, that won't work, but we can bring that in here whenever you want it. I mean, but I think you all need to collectively ask us to do that, and it not just be a staff-driven, request to increase taxes.
So how would we do that then, Mr. President?
I think that just so that we can get through this matter, I think that during council member time, bring it back up, and then you all tell us you want it. And if the majority of you want it, then we're bringing it back. You're welcome.
Any other dialogue, questions, concerns for Mr. Freeman? All right, so we have a motion on the table and a second. No further discussion. This is going to be a roll call vote for 1.5 cents
For 100 valuation.
100 valuation. So roll call vote, and I believe we're back at this end. So Councilwoman Johnson.
No.
Atkins, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Patterson, aye.
So we do have 4 and 5, and so that motion passes. Should everybody don't be concerned with that. Next on the agenda is staff reports. Mr. Freeman.
I'll keep this brief. Just a couple of mentions here. For the first time since 2019, we were able to once again officially host the Run for the Wall last week. And I'd like to thank the members of our staff and the members of the community that came together to either assist with the planning, logistics, and execution, and those that showed up and demonstrated their support. I think it is always a moving event, I think, for me personally. And I think when I see these riders coming up Main Street and all the kids waving the flags at them and the citizens out there showing support, I think it really says a lot about this community. And I'd just like to thank everyone involved in that. Also, I wanted to mention, and Sherry, I hope if this is already maybe on your report, if it is, I apologize. VDOT has scheduled a public hearing for the safety improvements project that has been proposed at the intersection of West Lee Highway and Route 11, which is West Lee Highway and West Monroe Street. You all may recall a few months ago, Director Woods came in and showed you some concept drawings that VDOT had put together to realign Monroe Street. The Monroe Street right there is not perfectly aligned, and that is one of the highest accident areas in the town of Wytheville. So this public hearing will be held at the Wytheville Meeting Center in Room 2 on Tuesday, July 11th, 2023, from 4 to 6 p.m., and all are welcome to attend. And that is all I have.
Ms. Freeman, that usually comes out in the enterprise as well, correct? I think VDOT puts it in there, correct?
Yes, VDOT will handle all the advertising. They will conduct the hearing. We'll simply be there to observe, listen, share our thoughts, that sort of thing. And then the public will be asked to come and share their comments as well.
Any questions for Mr. Freeman on that? All right, next on the agenda is introduction of traffic control and street closing policy. Assistant.
Did you do yours? Did you do yours, A?
Oh, did I miss that one? Okay, apologize. Thank you.
No, it's okay. It's okay.
No, I didn't. Next on the agenda is discussion regarding an annual September 11th commemoration event. And this is something that I had asked that I just wanted to bring to council. We're not voting on this, but our 9/11 community and just in general, I know there's been a church or two over the past 6 years who bring breakfast on 9/11 to the first responders, which would have been the PD, the fire and rescue, the sheriff's office, and the state police. Those ladies of those churches are getting a little bit older. We have to deliver at 5:30 in the morning to get the coming in and the going out. So I talked to some other municipalities, and they sort of do a street event where they have the PD, the fire, rescue, and whoever else is involved, out on the street, say like Spring Street, right there where their offices are, and they can bring their cars across. Each entity did something different, and that's something if council wants us to have more dialogue about that. We can put something together. You can have it on 9/11, Monday through Friday. What one of the other municipalities does is if it comes on a weekend, if it's a Saturday, they do it the Friday before. So if it's a Sunday, they do it the Monday after. Just options as far as that goes. So anyway, I just wanted to share that, throw those thoughts out. I have reached out to Councilwoman Atkins to see if we go forward, if she or anybody else on council wants to kind of get together and start and try to make that come to fruition. So I don't need it. If you have any questions for me, that's all I know, because I just tried to, it's just a thought. I just kind of wanted to find a way to say thank you for those people as well. We do the Veterans Day and and we do all these other things. And I think if our community could do that for 9/11, that would be an easy way. My thoughts were that all the churches around could participate and make breakfast and bring it there to feed them on street side. We could have a speaker or not, again, those things. So just give it some thought. And
I know we've worked on that committee before with the sheriff's department, and I know Chief Hash was there too as well, with the 9/11 service.
Mm-hmm. All right, so we're going to move on the agenda. And again, I apologize. So introduction of traffic control and street closing policy. Just want to give you time to get ready. Thanks, all, for getting that.
So in your packets, under item 13B is, I did a brief staff report that outlined how we got from the past to where we are today in our first review of this document. I'm just going to cover some of these high points that I presented to you in the staff report, and then we'll just take a quick look through the proposed policy. So just to give you all some background, on March the 1st of 2022, I chaired my first Safety and Events Committee meeting, and since that time, the committee and I have been working together to prepare the draft policy that you see in front of you today. The committee is comprised of town department heads who interact with or who oversee special events that occur in town each year. We typically meet the first Tuesday of the month to review street closure and traffic control requests, and on some occasions, we discuss other issues relating to safety, such as traffic improvements or equipment for safety needs. The committee consists of key staff, including Chris Peoples, the Director of Public Works, Josh Sherritts, the Director of Parks and Recreation, Chris Slimp, the Director of Fire and Emergency Services, Lieutenant Brian Bard, the Police Department, who is serving on behalf of Joel Hash, Todd Wolford, the Director of Downtown Wytheville, and Shane Terry, serving on behalf of Tourism and Meeting, along with Grant Gerlich, he's the Director of Museums. At the first Safety and Events Committee meeting, I hosted a roundtable discussion, and I asked these members, what would you like to see as we work together? And this policy was one of the things that they spoke out loud and said, we really need some guidance here as we're reviewing these street closures. We also need to communicate to the event organizers ways to safely host events. And so that was how this all began. You probably remember later in March of 2022, I brought this to you with that request, and the town council at that time did give me the go-ahead to begin working on this policy. Essentially, there are three goals for the policy guidance. One is to provide a list of consideration factors that can be used to assist both the committee and the town council with the review of street closure and traffic control. The second goal was to outline a transparent application process that encourages consistency in how applications are reviewed and processed. And the third goal was to provide a set of minimum standards and safety requirements for event organizers to follow, while also sharing useful information on how to properly host events. Above all else, the primary reason for the policy is to encourage safe events and to make sure that our citizens are safe. The draft policy reflects input from both the Safety and Events Committee, department heads, and other staff who assist with events. So, for example, Public Works would weigh in on what they would typically experience when they're out there setting jersey barriers or cleaning up the trash. The police department, Brian Bard, I can't say enough good things about him. He really has his fingers on the pulse of what it takes to safely close streets, and his input is in there as well. Downtown Wytheville was very helpful. They are an organization that regularly hosts street events and knows the details of things like where to locate stages and how to set up vendors and that sort of thing. So I feel like it was a great collaborative effort, and I'm proud to present it this evening for your review. So essentially, tonight is the first time you are seeing this policy. There is no strict deadline for getting this passed. That's the good news. We can spend as much time with this as we would like. I didn't come prepared for a lengthy conversation about this tonight. I know we already have a lot on the agenda, but what I would suggest is that you all take a look at it. And if you have any input, you can email me, you can call me. I can make as many revisions as we need to get this to a place where all of the council members feel comfortable with it. And with that, I will exit the podium. But if you have any questions, let me know.
I think we have a couple questions left from the beginning of the meeting.
Okay.
Is it possible for any council members to sit on the committee?
I would think so, if that's what you would prefer.
Mayor Taylor, I would like to be a part of the, if you don't have a problem with that, of the event safety street closures committee.
I don't have a problem, but I'm not council. Just one person.
I would like to make a motion for all council to weigh in, if that would be fair.
We'll have some dialogue at least. Yeah, I don't know if we have to do it.
What we could do is we could include that in the next draft for review. Does that sound like a plan? Then that way it would actually be written into the draft that there would be.
Well, wait just a second.
Sure.
I know that, I know I have served with Mayor Taylor before, a couple of years with the 9/11, right, committee that we've worked on before in the past. I mean, I don't remember having to be put on it. I mean, I don't think.
Okay.
There's been certain committees, and y'all correct me, that is just traditional that have had council members on it. As new committees come, there's no reason why someone can't be on that. But so, at some point you would rotate, just like we do anyway. Over here, I'm hearing there's no concern.
I just want to make sure I didn't tell you when I told you the other day. I just thought we were going to continue the 9/11 service committee. What do we have? And I want to make sure I didn't tell you, yes, I could do that, and then somebody not put me on. I just want to make sure I wasn't doing something wrong. So
yeah, because that's not even a committee. So
okay,
at this point,
real quick, I think Mayor Taylor, I think you are in charge of the committee assignments, and I think I think that having a representative on there could be beneficial because then, when the matters come before the rest of the council, having another person in the room that's not staff that has been a part of the discussions could be helpful. I'll just leave you with that, and then.
So whatever if you just need to change some dialogue, but I think I'm hearing right now that it's okay for Councilwoman Johnson to be on your committee.
Okay, fabulous. Sounds like a great idea. Okay, and then the other item I believe I heard earlier had to do with the amount of time when the application is submitted to when it is reviewed.
And that's been my concern from the day one. So
you've had that concern. How about I take a stab at number 9 and I try to rewrite that so that's more friendly to the event organizers? And we'll see if we can come up with some other language there that's more agreeable.
I know there needs to be some type of deadline. I think for it to be in the paper and advertised and for all the committees to be able to meet at one time, or everybody, all the representatives. But I just would hate for somebody down the road to say, sorry, you didn't make the deadline. You just can't.
I understand.
I don't want to be that person. Okay. Thank you.
You're welcome.
I did have a concern about the pre-screening process.
Okay.
I think the pre-screening process needs to be left up to the towns completely. And town council.
Okay, so you're referencing item number 14.
Yes.
And for those of you who are looking at your drafts, what we wrote in here was that the town council reserves the right to require pre-screening of any application that seeks to use the Main Street, downtown Wytheville area of town If pre-screening is requested by the town council, the application will be reviewed by the Downtown Wytheville Board and Events Committee, who shall issue a recommendation with or without conditions directed to the town council. And the town council will accept the recommendation and make the final decision. So essentially the purpose for that was that if we had something that was wanting to locate downtown and we felt like downtown Wytheville may have issues with it, that would be a good opportunity for them to flesh that out before it would come to you. I'm not emotionally tied to that. So if you all don't like that, it can easily be struck from this document. We just thought it might be easier on you if they would do some of that legwork with you.
Be removed first.
So
And anybody that has any ideas or anything after this, just send them to Elaine and she can reconstruct everybody's concerns or questions and give it back to us.
I would
Sounds
like
great.
for us to have a work session and go through this.
okay, we can arrange that. Would it be okay if we, because again, we're not on a time deadline with this, would it be okay if we did that after we got through the budget consideration in July and maybe do it in August?
And then, Ms. Holton, if we have any other questions or suggestions or just thoughts, we can just let you know.
Sure.
Okay.
Yep. I'm excited to work on it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you. Appreciate everybody's hard work and thoughts. Next is council member time. I'll start with you, Mr. Gilman. Stanson?
Nothing right now, but reserve the right to come back.
I don't have anything, so we'll move forward to Ms. Atkins.
You know.
That's
Thank
all
y'all.
right. That's all right. That's why we have this session, so we all can.
Thank you, Mayor Taylor. I appreciate it. I do want to thank for the Lincoln sign that was replaced out on 4th Street. I appreciate that. That was taken care of and looks great. I know I had also spoke to Mr. Freeman about, and I do want to make this on the record because I actually live on Fairview Road. It's not myself, but I had some complaint of speeding on Fairview Road. Said it's pretty bad. I live there. I witnessed it. But again, I'm not asking for myself. I did let Mr. Freeman know about that. So can we work on that?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And I think I told you that I would talk to Chief Ashton about
Yes.
that on Wednesday, and then we ended up not meeting because I got stuck in another
it's okay.
meeting. But,
I just the
he
gentleman,
hadn't heard about it yet. But thank
well,
you
if
for
the gentleman inquires about that, I did ask. I just
Sure.
want to make sure it's on record. Also, wanted to ask on the, and I don't know if we need to bring this up in front of Public Works or not, but if we could maybe check on the town trucks or any vehicle, emergency safety vehicle and things like that, to have, I don't want to say them wrong, but like delinears or whatever. Chief Ash, can you help me out there? What are those lines like sort of on state police cars and things like that, where if our gentlemen and ladies are working in Public Works or anything like that, that you won't be sort of wanting to come towards the person if they're working. Say, for instance, I was actually on 4th Street and there was a Public Works vehicle going and they had their light on, but I just want like some reflectors, some type of something on the back of like their tailgate. I know that's going to cost a little money, but it would help prevent someone, I guess hitting them in the rear end.
Okay. Yeah,
I think they're called delinear stripes. I could be wrong. Anybody know?
we'll look into that.
You know what they are,
I know
but
what you're talking
they're like reflectors. And I know one way if you put them, they sort of tore your eyes, I think, from wanting to pull into the person.
Like what the fire chief has on the back of his.
Yes. What are they?
Oh, that's.
We'll find
I
out.
should know that. Okay. But even on like the dump trucks and things like that, and also, just looking here, I do know, I think Mr. Freeman and I, we've talked about this, sort of not happy about our trash truck. And I know I'd asked one other time before, who inspects our town vehicles? And I don't like the fact that we have a town trash truck that is not past inspection, and we have our gentleman working in it. So I didn't know if you had, I know we had talked about maybe looking at renting one or something like that.
So the current trash truck, and the reason we're borrowing money to buy a new one is because the current trash truck
I've seen it. It's crazy.
but the one you saw is not the current trash truck.
Oh, okay.
The current trash truck is at Western Branch in Roanoke being repaired.
The current one that's actually on the street of the town of Wytheville. That's
Correct. So what we do is we keep two. You always keep the last one, and then you buy a new one, right? And then you sell the oldest one. Typically, that's sort of the way this goes. The old one that you keep is always there as the backup. The one that's in Roanoke, I need to check. I don't know if it's back yet. I think Rosie's here. Okay.
No, it's not back yet. If you need.
It's okay. So I don't know how long you've been in the old one. A couple weeks.
Been about a week, but
Okay. So
if you want me,
well,
go ahead and stream.
sure. I'll let Mayor Taylor handle that if you want to come to the podium. But so the one they're in right now is the old one, but it's the backup truck. I understand that one of the inside rear tires does not inflate. I did request Chris to have it looked at. If we need to put tires around it, that's fine.
Do you know if he put tires on it? Or?
Well, this was just a couple of days ago. I mean, this is Monday, and you and I talked about this on Thursday.
Right.
Well, so-
no, my only concern is, to me, it's unsafe. I myself, I'm not going to speak for anybody else here. I don't like having a vehicle that's not inspected, especially being for the town. And say, for instance, you get a gentleman or a lady who wants to write tickets, that's my concern. Whoever's going to pay for the ticket, I don't know how that falls because it's not inspected. And then, like I said, I'm
sure that the state inspection was just an oversight. When it's a vehicle you don't drive every day.
Okay, can we take
it was brought to my attention recently that the Tahoe, which is my vehicle, had a dead sticker on it, but I drive it once a month.
Okay. Well, can we take and go get that inspected to make it safe
I've
for
made that request.
Oh, you have? Okay.
Yes. So I don't know if that's happened yet, but I also don't know who would take it for inspection, but we're going to work on getting it inspected. But there is in the budget a new garbage truck. It's about $8,500 a month to rent.
But we have looked at that. Can we get one?
I have a sheet on my desk that has $8,500 a month pricing. And if it takes 10 months to get a new garbage truck, I think we need to be figuring out how to make this one better. But I think we're going to have the old one back from Western. We should have it back from Roanoke. I hope it wouldn't stay there very long. The one you saw is a 20-year-old truck?
No, it is a 1989 model. It is 34 years old.
Yeah, so that's my point.
Brian, can I ask you to come to the podium?
Sure.
Yes, ma'am.
I mean, my concern, Mr. Freeman, is what if it rolls over somebody or something? That's just my concern. And plus the gentleman, operating the vehicle, their lives. I mean,
I completely agree with you. I don't know how to when a vehicle breaks down and you're using the backup. I think the key for us is to make sure the backups are always ready to go. I think that's the key.
Should be right. It should have
That's the
already
key.
been. Right.
But what we have now is a situation where why don't you, I call him Rosie, I'm sorry, I always have.
Can you go ahead and state your name and?
My name is Alfred Rosenbaum. I've been with the town 36 years. Most everybody knows me here by Rosie. On the situation that Mr. Holly is talking about, the 89 model Trash International. I have 4 tires that are up on that truck. It has 6 tires total. I only have 4 that is up. The 2 front ones, the 2 outside rears. Both inside rears and the insides are completely flat. One of them is completely off the rim. That year model had a split rims. Couple years back last year, our 13 model went down. We took it out to Appalachian. I told them I had a flat tire. Took it out to Appalachian Tire. They told me we weren't going to work on it because the tires was 25 years old. So after that, it's sitting down there. It has sit. I've asked, we need to do something. We need to do something on this. All 6 tires is as slick as this top right here. If anybody would like to see it, I'll be more than glad to go down there and get it and bring it up here. No warning lights on it. The right-hand signal, the left-hand signal on the driver's side does not work. It was working. What they would have to do, what they done was run a wire under it. You have to crawl under it, unplug it, and plug it back up when you dump it. I'm not crawling under it. I'm going to be straight, flat out honest. I'm not crawling under it. I have asked a trooper about this situation. With the federal thrust, they cannot do the DOT. It's because of government tags. But if I get stopped and I get a ticket for slick tires, dead inspection, which is 10 of 22, I have asked and asked and asked about this stuff, and the people knows about it. My question is, who's going to pay the ticket?
Not you.
You're not.
Exactly.
You're not.
But would it go on his record?
But will it go on my record? Mr. Joy, will it go on my record?
It's up to DOD's outside.
Okay.
Yes.
I have requested the other truck. What has happened a lot with it is this DEF. It is a diesel fuel treatment thing, which caused them, they burn off. They burn their burn off system in them. This truck's had a little problems, but when you run one every day, you're going to have problems out of a truck. It's down there with something wrong with the transmission. It was running fine the other Friday with me, then it went haywire. Then it straightened up, run good for a while, haywire again. I know it's been said, this is hearsay, I don't know how true, whatever, you'll hear everything, that whenever we get a new truck, they're going to sell the 13 and keep the 89. My opinion is, me personally, why do you want to get rid of something that's a 13 model and keep something that's 34 years old? It leaks. The bed has holes in it. The hopper back has holes in it. If you think about working on it, you're going to spend a lot of money on it. And I mean a whole lot of money on it. That's just straight flank. You can ask some of the other council members. I tell it right straight.
I appreciate that.
And you have mentioned
To
it.
be clear, this did not come to my attention until less than a week ago. So I want to make, Rosie can confirm that.
Well, no, sir. I did call
This
it.
normally wouldn't come to a council meeting, but if you ever have a problem like that, come and tell me. How about that?
Well, that was, wait a minute, that was my next question, is I wanted to make sure, because I know when I did work for the town, you always went to chain of command, and I've not asked you that. But, if you did say you mentioned it to somebody and it's still running, that's just not good.
It has went. Don't get me wrong. It's been told to the chief mechanic. Mr. Peoples and him knows about it. They tell us to limp through it. I'm not going to throw people on the bus, but I'm going to voice my opinion. And then I ask him, okay, what if that truck goes down? What are we going to do? I guess you're just going to have to get you a dump truck or a little flatbed and get you some trash bags and go pick it up by hand, throw it over a flatbed truck. I've been here, like I said, 37 years. That's gone a long time ago. And the gentleman that works with me, he will tell you the same thing. He ain't going to do it. And I'm not going to, I might lose my job, but I'm going to voice my opinion.
Mr. Rosenbaum, I thank you for being straightforward. And I don't know what needs to be done, but his safety or anybody else's safety that works for this town is important.
Well, I think everybody-
We need to make sure that this gets taken care of as soon as possible,
Yesterday.
please. I value your life. I
you.
appreciate your years of service to the town, and I am sorry.
I look at it like this. My opinion, my thing. I have 2 lives on that truck. Mine, Mr. Polly. James has been with the town for almost 25 years. He's been on the truck ever since. And I've been on the truck for about 10 or 15 years driving the truck. Me and him as much as family as anybody else around here. Then you're looking at a whole. You look at everybody in this town and county people coming in here, or some little kid. I see a lot goes on in town. I have a lot of responsibility with my life, his life, watching everybody else, and a lot of these crazy drivers here in town.
I respect that.
That's why I'm trying to keep myself calm.
I know how that is.
Well, Mr. Rosenbaum, I don't think he should be driving. I mean, to me, it just shouldn't be leaving the lot.
Well,
I mean, that's
it was also stated that Friday that when the other one broke down, I told him, I said, I'll drive it today, but I'm not going to drive it no more. But
And I think we need to find out why it fell through the crack.
We'll work on that. I'm just going to, we'll work on that.
Agreed, Mr. Bennett.
But
Thank
also,
you very much for your honesty, as they said, for them encouraging you to be here this evening, for the rest of us to hear, and include Mr. Freeman, because
well, it wasn't nobody encouraged.
Yeah, I was going to say, wait a minute.
I decided I was coming tonight.
Yeah, no, I mean, no, yes, I was going to say, wait a minute, I didn't encourage, I'm just saying, when you said encourage, I'm like, I just passed him and I'm like, this truck don't look too good.
Thank you, sir, very much.
Yes, ma'am. If you have any more questions, feel free to
Well, and I don't want any repercussion on Mr. Rosenbaum either for,
No.
I mean,
No.
that
No
well.
retaliation whatsoever.
That's what I'm afraid of. I'm afraid of that. It will be something eventually come down the line. And like I said, I'm being straight honest.
You'll be fine.
I've given a lot of years to this town.
Thank you. We appreciate
And we thank you for it.
Thank you.
Sorry you're having to drive that, Mr. Rosenbaum.
I'm sorry, I didn't know.
We're still on council member time. Anybody else?
Let me finish. I'm sorry.
You mean you're not done yet?
Well, I mean, that's where that was in my notes. Didn't know he was. I was just wanting to, make sure things were on record, like I would like to do. Is what I'm supposed to be here for. So anyway, right now I think that's about it. But I want to reserve my right. Let me just make sure. Speeding. Yeah. Hold on one second. I apologize, but hold on. Okay. Thank you. Sorry.
Councilwoman Johnson?
Thank you, Mr. Freeman, for getting back with me with the concerns on Monroe Street. I appreciate that. And I actually don't have anything, but I do reserve the right to come back if need to.
Can somebody not speak up? No, just kidding. No, I'm glad I did. So.
Anything else? So that is the end of our agenda at this point. We will be going into a closed session to discuss town attorney, but I would like to take a 5-minute recess for council people to stretch their legs and go take care of business. So we're going to be recessed here for 5 minutes, and then we'll be in closed.
It's okay if he is.
Not really.
Is it Mr. Count still?
After close meeting, it is necessary to reconvene into open session by stating that the town council is now in open session, which we are. A motion is necessary to certify that only matters lawfully convening open session were discussed. So I will need a motion. That's it.
I so move that we have further discussion. Is that what you said?
What we're doing is a motion is necessary to certify that only matters lawfully convening to the open session were discussed.
You go ahead.
Oh, yeah.
I so move.
I move that we go into open session.
And you certify that only matters lawfully convening to the open session were discussed.
Yes, ma'am.
All right, so we have a motion. Do we have a second?
I'll second it, Mr. Gilman.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This is going to be a roll call vote. Mr. Gilman.
Gilman, aye.
Patterson, aye.
Taylor, aye.
Atkins, aye.
Johnson, aye.
All right, we are now in open session. And on our agenda here, Mr. Freeman, would you like to summarize things before we call in?
I think following our closed session, staff will continue to evaluate potential offers for legal services and continue to find the right applicant for a full-time position. So we'll continue to do the research and come back to the council when we have more information.
Thank you. Thank you. By doing that, and anything else to come before council this evening? Hearing none, welcome. Adjourned.